Chapter 8. Arthur's fumbling fingers finally caught the heavy, overlapped seam of the plastic curtain. He pulled it apart, the thick material parting with a static crackle that sounded as loud as a gunshot in the dead, quiet air. He stepped through the breach, bathed suddenly in the harsh, sterile glare of the overhead surgical lights. He let the plastic fall shut behind him, and there it was. The brass called it the sport model, but looking at it, Arthur realized just how aggressively stupid, how profoundly arrogant that nickname was. You didn't build something like this on an assembly line in Detroit. You didn't rivet it together in a hangar in Seattle. It had been grown. According to the fragmented, highly classified files Arthur had managed to glimpse over the years, the craft was the result of a zero-gravity plasma field, an electromagnetic womb, where matter was coerced into existence rather than manufactured. Its surface was a seamless, teardrop curve of viscous aluminate. It didn't look like metal. It looked like poured mercury that had somehow decided to hold a solid shape. It was utterly devoid of seams, exhaust ports, or access hatches. It was an entirely unique form of speculative engineering. It didn't have a wiring harness. It had a nervous system. Beneath that silver liquid shell lay a dense, microscopic labyrinth of connections, powered by energy induction. It utilized a gravity control drive that didn't push against the air, but rather folded the fabric of space-time around it like a cheap motel bedsheet. Its tomography sensors were so acutely attuned, they could read the universe down to the very last vibrating molecule, granting the ship a localized, omniscient view of reality, allowing it to traverse vast, unfathomable cosmic distances in the time it took a human to blink. Standing before it, Arthur felt a sickening lurch in his stomach, a profound, existential vertigo. If the masses, the poor saps driving to their 9-to-5 jobs in traffic jams, ever saw this thing, society would fracture in an afternoon. In the presence of this silver droplet, every combustion engine car, every roaring NASA rocket, every billion-dollar stealth bomber was suddenly reduced to a cheap, illusory joke. They were children playing in the mud with sticks, utterly oblivious to the gods walking among them. But the most terrifying aspect of the craft wasn't its speed or its origin. It was the fact that it wasn't a machine. It had a consciousness. It thought back. It carried the crushing weight of every conceivable technological capability within its quantum architecture, an intellect so vast and alien it had shattered the minds of the 17 men who had tried to force their will upon it. And it had been sitting here, unoccupied for decades. It hadn't crashed at Roswell or Kingman. It hadn't suffered a mechanical failure. The truth, hidden deep in the black-budget archives, was that it had been lured. The military brass, functioning with the cunning of cavemen trapping a wolf, had deployed a highly specific, bleeding-edge radioactive device into the upper atmosphere, a honeypot, a snare set to trap an entity curious enough to investigate. The trap had worked. The ship had landed. The doors had closed, and human endeavors to govern it had begun, and ended. They couldn't fly it. They couldn't dissect it. The men with the stars on their shoulders had captured a god, and finding they couldn't leash it, they had locked it in the basement. It was a museum piece now, a dormant, silent prisoner, waiting in the cold. It was waiting for a mind that could operate it. It was waiting for the answer to the signal pulsing from the Delport crater. Arthur took a step closer, his reflection warping in the curved, viscous metal. The ship was quiet, but inside his head, the itch flared into a roaring, triumphant fire.